Play some beats, but I forgot to tell you one thing.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? What's going on? Welcome to the official pilot episode of Under Pressure. And Phil, man, we are literally under pressure, waiting till the last minute to do our first episode.
Yes, sir.
It's been a busy week for the both of us, but, we're down to start talking about some ball. It's time to get going here. The playoffs start literally in less than 24 hours. And, we literally just been sitting here for like 2 hours straight trying to figure out this mic situation. This freaking 2014 HP Pavilion laptop didn't do the trick. Mike, your Mac would have been way better, but it only has one audio input for whatever reason. Anyways, trash, but this thing's way more trash. All right, I got this thing back in grade 12, bro, and I've had it all throughout college and shit, and I'm not planning on getting another one. Don't need it.
I had this laptop before my Mac. I had the exact same one. Yeah, this thing's vintage, man.
Bro, this thing's vintage. You got a new one. I didn't get a new one, and unfortunately, we could only use this one. But after 2 hours, got it going, and now we could finally sit back, relax, and start talking about some ball. So, ladies and gentlemen, get ready for the show. Forget about, coronavirus, your ex-girlfriend, it's time to start talking about some ball. Cut that shit out.
Forget about all that, you're here to sit with us, talk about some basketball, talk about some Raptors, and,
buddy.
Have a good time, so.
All right, let's get going. So, ladies and gentlemen, today we are doing a playoff preview. The playoffs, like I said, start in less than 24 hours. And, man, it is going to be an interesting playoffs this year, man. So much unexpected. I feel like a lot of upsets are going to happen. I say we get started with the Toronto Raptors because, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're coming from, if you're coming from Serbia or Finland or the U.S. or whatever, guys, we are freaking Canadian. We are Toronto Raptors fans, first and foremost. So let's get started with that.
We're not bandwagoners. We're OG fans.
We're OG
We've
fans.
Been there since the struggle.
We've been there since our Jared Bargnani days, the Primo pasta and sauce. Primo pasta and sauce. All right, so let's get going. It's going to be Raptors and Nets, man. It actually starts pretty soon, the series.
What's the game time on that game? The first
I think
game
like
tomorrow?
4 o'clock. ESPN's
A matinee.
ESPN's giving us the worst of the worst in terms of times, but whatever.
It's every year like that. Game
every
one,
year like that.
We always get the afternoon games.
Yeah, Americans don't like watching Canadian teams, I guess, but it is what it is. We'll continue to prove them wrong. So to be honest, dude, first round Nets. I'm not gonna be biased when I say this, but I honestly do think it's gonna be a sweep. Raptors are gonna sweep the Nets. First round will be easy because obviously Kevin Durant's not playing, Kyrie Irving's not playing. I don't know. What do you say?
I think probably a sweep. If anything, it might be. There's a chance that it might turn out like last year against Orlando, where they win one game. Maybe they won the first game, maybe they won the second game, and then we take it from there.
And they better not win game one because I don't know if you noticed this, man, or not, but the Toronto Raptors, for some very strange reason, love to blow game ones. They never want to win the game one. Yeah. I don't know why. They were so much better than the Magic last year, and they lost game one. And obviously they ended up winning the title last year, and they still lost game one to the Orlando Magic, led by what? DJ Augustine? Like, come on, a bench player practically. He'd be a bench player on the Raptors. So.
I was at that game actually.
Oh yeah.
The first.
You're always bad luck, bro. This guy's always bad luck, bro. All the games this guy goes to, they always lose.
First playoff game I ever been to, and they lose. Man, those seats were expensive too, and my dad dropped like a couple of bills on those, and they just lose to DJ Augustin.
Do you just get drunk at the game so you could black out, at all the bad moments of the game?
Did I get drunk?
Yeah.
No, I wish I did because that was a terrible outcome.
Yeah, but then that would have been a more waste of money. You already wasted enough money with that game. But anyways,
just a lose situation.
Anyways, the Raptors better not lose another game one because I will just lose my cool. They always love to lose game ones. It should be a sweep. I say it's going to be a sweep. What do you say, 5 or 4 games or 6 games?
I'm betting on 4 games.
4 games?
On a sweep, I think so.
Yeah, so a sweep. Okay, but I want to...
we might see some big games from LeVert. He's been playing pretty well in the bubble. He's been having a couple games with 30-plus points. So he might have a couple games where he shows up, but I think in terms of just straight up competition, I think we're going to beat them in 4 games,
But in terms of the Raptors, man, they got, first of all, they got hunger because everybody's been doubting them all season. I think if you're the Toronto Raptors, you don't want to lose to the Brooklyn Nets at all. And the Raptors got, honestly, man, they got the best defense in the NBA, in my opinion. In terms of their numbers, I think it's a point differential thing. They actually, based on the numbers, their defense has been the best since like the late 80s. I read something earlier. Yeah, man, like their defense is incredible. And even in their game when we were watching, we watched it together. Remember their first game back in the bubble against the Lakers?
Yeah.
On a couple of the Lakers offensive possessions, I was firmly just focusing on the Raptors defensive possessions, and it was crazy. Like, not defensive possessions, on their defense against the Lakers, and it was crazy, man. Like especially when the Lakers used up all the shot clock and they couldn't get a shot off. All you see the Raptors do, boom, 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 switch. Like the Raptors, their freaking defense is insane.
Marcus Gasol is going to be huge for us again because if you remember that
the
game,
goose baby.
She shut down Davis too.
Yeah.
I don't think even Davis surpassed 10 points in that game.
Everybody always loves to harp on Marcus Gasol. I'm not gonna lie, we do it sometimes, because on the offensive end, he isn't really.
A couple of goose eggs. Here. Last game was a goose egg when he dropped zero. I look at the box score. He had like 20 plus minutes, 0 points.
Yeah, but he's a leader on the court. His defensive presence is huge. He shuts down Joel Embiid all the time. If we face Philly in the second round, man, he's gonna shut him down again, I think.
Yeah, I don't think we got him for the offense. I think we got him for the defensive matchups against bigs like Embiid and Davis. If we ever get to that point in the finals. So if his offense is gonna be like that, it's all right. If it picks up and he gets us 10 points,
the goose.
That's not a bad performance. So
Marcus Gasol's the GOAT, ladies and gentlemen.
Definitely going to be huge, and like the fact that the NBA was laid off for like 2-3 months because of the virus.
He's in the best shape of his in many years. Marcus Gasol.
Yeah. He's healthy now. He got rid of all those injuries that he was dealing with during the season. So he's going to be a big performer in the playoffs. So I'm looking out for that for sure.
He's a leader, and he's a facilitator on the offensive end too. He gets the assists, he gets the ball movements.
His playmaking for center is outstanding.
Yeah, exactly, and the rebounder too. Like a lot of teams, I feel like play a lot of small ball now. So when you have guys like Serge Ibaka and Marcus Gasol on a team, I think it actually helps out a lot. And you could literally always have a big man on every string. You know what I mean? Because you got Serge Ibaka, like I say, and Marcus Gasol. Who do you think is going to be the X factor? I'm kind of. By the way, people, we're not like reading anything here. We just have like topics, so we're just gonna like wing it a lot. We're only doing this one take, so first take, Listen, skip. Anyways, no. Anyways, who do you think is going to be the X factor?
X factor, I'm going to go with Serge Ibaka off the bench. I think in terms of matchups, he just faces better with Brooklyn. They got hybrid forwards, not so much big centers.
Yeah.
So I think Gasol's not going to be too much of a factor in that first round.
Probably not.
And I think that's going to be more Serge Ibaka's game. But then, come second round, if we get to Boston, I think Gasol is going to be more important.
I think
Serge Ibaka as X factor. I don't know what do you think for X factor.
In terms of X factor, let's see here, because I think the Raptors, obviously you can never underestimate your opponent, right? But I think they need to use the Nets series as practice, because obviously the second round and possibly even the Eastern Conference Finals, it's going to be way harder. So in terms of X factor, I think you got to get going if you're OG Anunoby. That guy's got to have a huge impact on this team's postseason run this year, and I think he should use the Nets series as kind of like a way to get himself going, because he didn't really play a lot last year's playoffs. He was injured most of the time.
Yeah, he had the appendix removed, I believe.
Yeah, which is fucking painful if you think about it. Holy smokes. But yeah, no. So I think he's going to be the X factor for the Raptors in the Nets series, and they need to really just do their work so they could continue the rest up after the series, sweep these guys, and move on. But Brooklyn, man, I quickly want to allude to this. Brooklyn, they're the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference not the 8th seed, the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference this season.
Yeah.
Brooklyn could potentially be in the NBA Finals next season, in my opinion.
Yes, sir.
The Warriors, I think they were dead last in the league this year. The Raptors literally ended the dynasty. That's what I'm saying. I freaking hate the Warriors. I'm not going to lie. You know that.
Not a big fan.
Yeah, but anyways, they were the 15th seed in the Western Conference this year and dead last in the league. The Warriors, it could be Warriors and Brooklyn, Kevin Durant versus the old team in next year's finals, which is kind of crazy to think. That's what I mean. Like, you never know. Like, I quickly wanted to just put that out there.
Kevin Durant and Kyrie, there's a lot of skepticism around those two playing together on a team. So
especially Kyrie Irving, that guy. Whatever team Kyrie Irving goes to, there always seems to be issues, man.
Yeah, it's just a shit show. So I think I wouldn't be quick to say that they're going to hit the finals just because they're two ball dominant players. So and their chemistry's got to be worked on in terms of those two players. They have a lot of, I wouldn't say issues, but they get into a lot of drama, on all the teams that they've been with. So
that is true. I think Kyrie more than Kevin.
I think the first year for Brooklyn, we're getting off topic, but I think the first year with Brooklyn, I don't think they're going to make it to the finals. They got a lot of stuff to figure out, but they're definitely going to be dangerous. They're going to be a threat to the Raptors. So
yeah,
maybe in a few years down the line, if they develop that team, add a bit more add more depth, I think then they could make it to the finals.
Yeah, yeah. And in terms of
But for the next 2 years, Bucks are still their biggest threat.
yeah, exactly. And
Nets have a lot to prove.
yeah, and I think maybe if Kyrie Irving stops believing that the world's flat, maybe he'll become a better. Maybe there's some correlation there. Anyways, I say we move on. There's more interesting series to talk about. To be honest, the Raptors and Nets is not the most interesting series in the first round. I feel like it's going to be not competitive whatsoever. It's a quick sweep. Let's move on to another sweep. I think we could both agree on this. Bucks and Magic. Bucks have been laying hell on the whole NBA this past season. I can't believe it. They got the best record in the league, #1 in the Eastern Conference versus the 8 seed Magic. It's going to be a quick sweep. Maybe Aaron Gordon will have some flashy dunks, but you already know Giannis is on a mission this year. He's pissed off after getting eliminated by the Toronto Raptors last season, and he does not want to lose any games to the Magic in the first round. The Magic, which in my opinion is not even a playoff team. They're just in the playoffs in the 8 seed because it's the Eastern Conference. You know what I mean?
They got some health issues too. They lost Jonathan Isaac. You know, he went down for the rest of the season. I think Aaron Gordon's a little banged up. He left that game against us on the Raptors. Remember that?
Yeah.
So definitely a sweep. There's no competition there for the Bucks.
Yeah, and I think with the Magic, like, it's a lot of like, I don't want to disrespect anybody, but it's almost like a lot of bench players, even their starters. Like it's like Terrence Ross. Like he's a bench player.
DJ Augustin on a competitive team would be second string, even maybe third string point guard. He would not be a starter.
Yeah. Anyway, so quick sweep, bring out the broom. Another Eastern Conference first round series here. Celtics and 76ers. This one is going to be interesting. The only problem is that I think Ben Simmons is out for the 76ers. So that intrigue right there kind of
died down quick.
Yeah, went down quick. So I say Celtics. I'd give the 76ers, honestly, man, I give them 1 or 2 games. Like I say it goes 5 or 6 games, but I still think the Celtics are going to get it out there.
Let's say Ben Simmons was in the picture. What would you?
That's a good question.
You know, what would you guess the results would be at that series?
I'd still take the Celtics. It would go 7 games, but I'd still take the Celtics. I'm not gonna lie, ladies and gentlemen, and I think you know this. I think the 76ers are hella overrated. I think they're one of the most overrated teams in the NBA.
For sure. They lost Jimmy.
Trust the process. Trust the process. Like, what are you supposed to trust? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's never worked. It's been about 5 years, bro. Like, it's like Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan all over again. Yeah, I mean, that didn't work.
They had their opportunities last year. They had, they had Jimmy. They had JJ. They lost those players. Those were key contributors. And, you know, they signed Tobias to that huge contract. But
yeah,
I think in terms of that construction of that roster, you know, they're not making it far against Boston.
No, because all of the pieces that you need on a championship team, I feel like, are not fulfilled on the 76ers. They are not a championship team. I don't think they could get past the Bucks, especially. I don't think they could get past the Raptors. And even if they had a fully healthy roster, I don't think they would get past the Celtics either. And to be honest,
we might see a couple of, like big games from Al Horford just because that's his old team. So he might go off, but they're too slow of a team against Boston. You know, Boston's got those athletic wings. They got Jaylen Brown. They got Tatum. They got Kemba. You know, it's a shorter team, but they're just way more explosive. They're way more athletic. So I think,
they're stacked.
I think 76ers are best chances they win 2 games.
Yeah, 5 or 6. Do you think the Celtics got the best starting 5 in the NBA? Because I sure as hell do.
Best starting 5 in terms of productivity or just talent?
Just talent. I don't know if that got picked up, but just talent.
Talent-wise, you would take them over the Lakers?
Yeah.
I would have to go Lakers. I don't think Boston's.
I think the Lakers are overrated. Lakers are old, man. They're a bunch of old granny freaking grandpas that play on the team. You got LeBron James, who's almost hitting the age of 40. I know you got seasoned vets.
That may be the case, but he's still performing.
Yeah.
He's not. Age doesn't defy LeBron.
That is true. Yeah, he's a tank. But do you know what? The Celtics got experience now. They got a bunch of young guys. Tatum, future superstar. He's already kind of hitting his superstardom in terms of not dominating the league, but
but there's a huge
going off in games.
I feel like there's a bit of a drop off in terms of productivity, even talent, when you get to the bench in Boston, because you got Marcus Smart.
That is true. Boston's bench. But in terms of a starting 5, but I know what you mean. The Lakers do got a really decent starting 5.
Yeah, maybe starting 5, like Boston probably outtakes Lakers, but in terms of the entire roster, I think Lakers.
Hell no. Oh, yeah, definitely Lakers. Right, real quick, obviously this most likely will not happen as a series, but who do you think's better, 76ers fully healthy or the Heat Because I don't know, like that to me, like
the
Heat, right? Yeah, because those two teams I feel like are evenly matched. Even with Ben Simmons, you think the Heat's better?
For sure.
Yeah, like I say, I guess you agree with me now as well. 76ers are overrated.
I think
don't
the
like
Heat
them,
kind
but
of
they
the
are
Heat
overrated.
kind of remind me of the Lakers, just in terms of they don't have that superstar talent. They obviously have Jimmy Butler, but in terms of how the roster's constructed and the way they're coached, they remind me a lot of the Raptors, and they have really good games when they face each other. So I would definitely take I would definitely take the Heat over the 76ers for sure.
Yeah. You mean that they remind you a lot of the Lakers or the Raptors? The Heat?
No, the Raptors. The Heat
The
remind me
Raptors.
of the Raptors.
Yeah. You originally said Lakers, and I was about to say no pun intended. Obviously, LeBron, got his rings going with the Heat. I'm taking my talents to South Beach. Yeah. Anyways, we're gonna take our talents to another series now.
Let's go.
Pacers and Heat. Speaking of the Heat, it's gonna be the Pacers and Heat. And to be honest, man, in the Eastern Conference for a first round matchup, I think this is going to be the most competitive series. I could fully see this series going to 7 games. The Pacers have been balling out. TJ Warren's been balling out.
Oh,
my iPhone's picking up that for whatever reason.
Siri,
but TJ Warren, man, that guy's been Siri. TJ Warren's been balling out.
She would be a good guest speaker, Siri.
Yeah, man, I guess so. Like
put an image of somebody, some random woman in between us, and call that Siri.
She gives us all these politically correct answers. We ask her all these questions, and she's like, "Well, I think this, but I think I don't know." That was a horrible Siri impression. I'm not really a phone guy, but yeah, no. TJ Warren's been balling out. Like I say, he's probably my new favorite bench player in the whole NBA. I'd say first 3 games in the bubble, 53 points, 34 points, 32 points out of nowhere. And I say bench player because obviously he was starting for the Pacers, but I think before the bubble, like I think he only started starting because I think Oladipo's
he's definitely gonna get slotted back because of Oladipo.
Yeah, so I think he's the X factor for the Pacers. First of all, I do see the Heat winning this series in 6 or 7 games, but it's gonna be really competitive. What do you think?
I think so too. I think that that little duo that they got between Butler and Warren is gonna be interesting to see.
Yeah, those guys hate each other. Those guys have been beefing.
Yeah, they do hate each other. They asked Jimmy about that and like what his thoughts are, and he says there's not going to be a problem there. So,
I'd to be honest, I'd take Jimmy over
I think
TJ
Jimmy
Warren.
over Warren too, but I'm just curious to see what happens. It's going to be a lot of competition, feistiness between the two of them. So we might have a couple of
altercations.
Yeah. So
in the bubble where you could actually hear what they're saying. Hopefully, I hope that they allow that to be broadcasted on TV.
I've noticed that since they started the bubble compared to now, they've drained out or they've increased the volume in the arena. Like they have a lot more music going on.
Yeah.
So you can't hear the audio, you can't hear the voices as well as you could at the beginning. So I don't know if we're gonna be able to hear the scuffles.
Yeah.
And the beef between the two of them. But regardless, the games are gonna be pretty good. I don't know who you got. You got the Heat?
I got the Heat in 6 or 7 games, but I do think it's going to be the most competitive on all aspects in terms of the first round for the whole NBA.
I think I got the Heat in 5.
Heat in 5? Oh, okay. There we go. We finally have one disagreement on this podcast. Get into the old Stephen A.
One
Smith,
of many
Max
to
Kelly.
come,
Yeah, one of many to come. Me and him don't agree on a lot of things we talk about, people, so it's going to be a good ride with the Under Pressure. But yeah, no, in terms of the
I think our biggest disagreement was when they traded for Kawhi. You were pretty
I was so pissed.
And then you came to me 12 months later and you're like, I think you were right. My anger to the trade was unfounded.
But listen, one thing I did say when that trade happened is you're only...
it wasn't unfounded. You had a point. But
yeah, what I was saying is that they traded DeMar for Kawhi only to lose to the Warriors in the finals. That's what I said that summer. And they did face the Warriors in the finals. But obviously, if the Warriors had a fully healthy roster, I don't think the Raptors would have won. But obviously,
that's also,
injuries happen.
You can't use that against any team.
And it's almost karma. Sorry, Warriors fans, it is almost karma.
Yeah, when the argument comes up that, if Raptors were facing a fully healthy Warrior squad, they lose, you could apply the same argument to the Warriors all the years prior to when they won the chip, because they were facing Cleveland a couple times, who had lost Kyrie and Kevin Love even one year, I believe. So it was just LeBron. And then the other year, I think they were facing Houston in the conference finals, and they lost Chris Paul.
And so, you know what?
And then Kawhi too went down on the Spurs.
Yeah, which was a little bit of a iffy injury based on Zaza. Yeah, Zaza.
Zaza, but cheap shot.
Pachisha, eh? Yeah, no.
So the injury injury argument doesn't apply. I don't
Yeah,
think.
and do you know what? Like the asterisks, like a lot of people, especially in the U.S. media, were saying like, "Oh, the Raptors title has an asterisk." But ladies and gentlemen, the Warriors' first championship, I believe it was in like for their dynasty era, right?
2016?
No, 2015.
Yeah.
2015, yeah, 2015. That was their first championship of their dynasty era. They beat the Cleveland Cavaliers, where both Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love were injured, right?
That's what I'm talking about.
The next year, they got their 73-9 regular season record, broke all record books, but they blew the 3-1 lead against LeBron and the Cavs in the finals, and the Cavs won that. And then they got Kevin Durant, and then you could even make an argument that the 2 rings they won with KD were both asterisks. I don't know. I just hate the Warriors, to be honest, but I believe I do have a point there to make.
Was that
because that's a super team.
Was that first championship with KD the year that they?
It was literally the year after they lost. To
No,
LeBron.
was that the year when Kawhi went down? The first year with KD?
That's a good question. I actually don't know.
I think it was because.
But all what I do
Kawhi
know.
was tasked with facing. Yeah, it was because they were up
yeah.
huge in that first game, and I remember watching Kevin in the highlights.
But all what I do know is that their first championship in 2015, they lost. No, my bad. They didn't lose, but they faced the Grizzlies in the first or second round, and I forget who got injured. I think Mike Conley or somebody, but somebody was injured there. Like basically a key player on all their opponents throughout the playoffs were injured, and then they faced the Cavs in the finals, and both Kyrie Irving got injured in game 1, and Kevin Love actually got injured in the first round against the Celtics that year by the Canadian Kelly Olynyk, which it did look like a little bit of an odd situation with Kelly Olynyk and Kevin Love, but it happens. It's a part of the game. But he was out for the whole playoffs. Was Kevin Love, right?
So in conclusion, injuries are a part of the game, and there's no asterisk.
There is
next
no
to the
asterisk.
Raptors championship, just like there are no asterisks next to the Warriors. etc.,
etc. And if the Raptors do win the championship this year, I don't want to hear people saying, "Oh, there's an asterisk because of the bubble and because of coronavirus."
The only context where that applies is that it might not be as satisfying because you don't have fans in front of you. You don't have a championship parade. At least I don't think so.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Unless if it's all like virtual.
6 meters apart or virtual.
Everybody's wearing masks, bro. Like,
imagine Nathan Phillips Square. They just have like those socially distanced squares where everybody's 6 feet apart.
Yeah. And do you know what? In terms of the bubble, this is really interesting because obviously you could say, oh, like the outcome could be different if the bubble never happened, if the season never got paused to begin with. But the way how I see it is these playoffs, man, in terms of I guess the last decade could be the most competitive playoffs that has ever been in the NBA. Like in terms of the last decade, I guess because
nobody has an advantage. Everybody's
exactly
equal grounds. Nobody has home court.
Yeah, exactly. It's all even. And do you know what? I think what people forget is a lot of the travel times, not a lot of them, all of them are getting eliminated. Nobody's staying in a crappy hotel. Yeah. Nobody's flying
Jet
planes
lag.
And shit. You know what I mean?
Jet lag, time difference.
Yeah.
Teams that face Denver, they dread that because of the altitude difference. That's a huge.
Oh my God.
That's a huge factor on your performance because of that altitude difference.
Everybody sucks when they go to Denver for
exactly. So everybody's there's really no advantages this year.
Yeah.
Sure.
The one thing I changed about the bubble though is especially even the defense chance. The defense chance are the same for every team. Every team has their own defense chance, and I think they should put that in the bubble. That's just a side thought though, because I've noticed that defense chance for the Raptors is literally the Cavaliers defense chance.
No,
it's not. I'm just giving an example, but it's definitely not the Raptors defense chance. It might actually be the Cavs defense.
They just have a generalized.
Yeah, a general one.
I'm really shocked because I remember reading an article prior to the restart that they were, maybe it was just an idea, but I thought that they were going to import all their courts. So everyone would at least have home court, right?
That would have been cool.
So I don't know if maybe they canceled that or they're keeping it for the playoffs. I guess we'll see tomorrow. But that would have been cool. That would have gave every team the slightest advantage.
Yeah.
The only advantage at that point. But, if they miss out on that, I guess it's okay. It would have been cool to see Raptors court.
Yeah, it would have been cool. And I just want to, obviously, we haven't gone to the Western Conference yet, guys. But before we go, I just want to make one more point. Because remember when I was telling you earlier this year, if it's Clippers and Lakers in the Western Conference Finals, that could be one of the most competitive series we see in a while. It's a rivalry. It's Kawhi versus LeBron. It's Anthony Davis versus Paul George. Obviously, it's two different kinds of positions. But you know what I mean? It's superstars on top of superstars versus superstars on top of superstars. And They don't have to stay in a crappy hotel, like I say. They don't fly planes.
Yeah.
They're both based in LA. They're both playing in their home arena. There's really no home court advantage there if you think about it.
Except for Orlando. Think about it.
Yeah, I know, but exactly. That's where I was going to. But that, like, obviously, if that's a Western Conference Finals this year, it's the same scenario. But with that being said, it's basically the same scenario for all the teams.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Because it's the bubble. Anyways,
That's true.
let's move on to the West here.
The West is. I was looking at the West. That's far more interesting.
Yeah, we say the best for last, everybody.
I think we got to start off with Lakers.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Lakers and Blazers. So Lakers, number one team in the West, number one team in the whole league actually in terms of the record, and the Blazers, the 8th seed in the West, but they're a beast team, and this is going to be a really, really cool series. What do you got in the series?
What do I got as an outcome? That's tough.
Do you have an upset?
I want to go upset, but I feel like it's not realistic. Blazers are definitely going to give them a run. It's not going to be an easy 1-8.
I think it's going to 7, man.
It's going at least 6 or 7, yeah. But I think ultimately Lakers are going to win.
Do you know what this series reminds me of? We were in grade 6.
But I don't know, man. Like Portland's got crazy momentum right now. Like they're all playing really well. They're all clicking as a team. You know, Melo's like performing like he did when he was first in New York. Like
Dame's literally the
Melo's been really clutch. Dame's been going off.
Second coming of Kobe right there.
Yeah, logo Lillard.
Yeah, logo Lillard.
You see that shot?
Yeah.
Man, that guy's nuts.
And he shot that as if like he just knew that was going in. Like his confidence level is insane.
What are you thinking as a coach when you see him just dribbling up and bombs it from the logo?
I'd allow him to do it after seeing what he did to Paul George and OKC last year, man, and then the logo shot in the bubble. Oh my goodness, bro.
Yeah, I guess he's got a green light on any type of shot like that. So Terry Stotts isn't really complaining.
Yeah. So remember back in 2009, Eastern Conference first round, Celtics and with the big three, Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Ray Allen versus the Chicago Bulls, who had D Rose and frickin' Joakim Noah and stuff. The
Ben Gordon, was that rookie year Derek? That was rookie year D Rose.
And Ben Gordon was on the team as well. And Ben Gordon hit a big shot in that series to send it to OT. I'm just saying, remember that series went at like 8 overtimes, like throughout the whole series, 8 or 10 overtime.
4, right?
Yeah, no. Like game 1, I think went to overtime. Chicago actually stole game 1 in Boston.
Wasn't there one game in the?
It went to 4 overtimes.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, in terms of the collective overtimes, it went to like 10 overtimes or whatever. Wow. So, anyways, my point is the Celtics were the first seed. And the Bulls were the 8th seed. That series went to 7 games. That was an incredible series. Honestly, that was probably one of the best series of the 2000s to 2010s.
I never watched that series. I wasn't a D Rose fan yet, but I do remember watching highlights.
What I'm doing is I'm comparing it to what possibly could be Lakers and Blazers. Because Dame, man, this guy and CJ McCollum for that matter as well, and Carmelo Anthony, these guys are think of themselves as superstars, and to be honest, they are superstars, and they're not gonna allow the Lakers.
I think I would say Dame's a superstar. I think CJ's an all-star. I don't think he's a superstar.
Yeah, Carmelo's what would you say Carmelo as?
Did you just classify him as a superstar?
Okay, well he's a former. So he used to be a superstar, especially when he was on the Nuggets. But my point is, they think of themselves as superstars.
Yeah. Okay.
And I feel like in this series, they're going to play as superstars. These guys do not want to especially go down to the Lakers without a fight. You know what I mean? Because they know and we know that they have a serious chance of actually doing an upset here against the first seeded Lakers as the 8th seed, which is incredible. And I'm just comparing that this series could potentially be like that Celtics Bulls series, which I still remember to this day. We were in grade 6 when it happened, and I remember every day after a game, I felt like a badass because I went to 4 overtimes. I stayed up till 12:30 watching, and I had school the next day, and I felt like a badass doing that. And I go to school and I talk to you about it and everything. And it was just man, that was a great series, and I honestly think this could be the second coming of that series. Goes to 6 or 7 games, extremely competitive.
We gotta watch those games.
And do you know what? We were just talking about Pacers and Heat being the most competitive series in the playoffs. I don't know why we said that, because I'd say Lakers and Blazers.
Yeah, Lakers, Blazers by far.
I think we meant for the Eastern Conference. But like I say, this is one take. We're not going to edit anything. This is one take, and we're just going to keep going with the flow. It's our pilot episode. And
raw opinions.
We out here, baby. So, yeah, Lakers and Blazers, most competitive series in the first round for the playoffs, but Pacers and Heat in the Eastern Conference.
What did you say your outcome was for the series?
7 games, but I got Lakers.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like the first seeded Celtics. That series went to 7 games with the Bulls, but the Celtics ended up winning it Obviously, Celtics had home court advantage. The bubble, there is no home court advantage, even though the Lakers technically have it. But I still got Lakers at 7.
You think we're gonna see a logo Lillard at least in one game?
Oh, at least in one game. Absolutely. Who do you got, though? You said 6 or 7 games, yeah? Who do you got coming out of it?
I got Lakers in 7, too.
Lakers in 7, so there
But
you go.
I really just want to say Blazers.
Wouldn't that be
7.
incredible? That would be incredible.
LeBron's
And then the Blazers knock off
That'd
the Clippers.
be crazy
too.
headlines, man.
Yeah.
Because LeBron's legacy would take a huge hit.
Yeah.
Imagine LeBron losing to 8 seed.
Yeah.
That would tarnish his legacy.
Yeah, losing to Dame. But then, of course, LeBron losing to Dame, there's nothing to be ashamed of there. It's Dame time,
No,
Dame's
but
that guy is a huge superstar, Damian Lillard. Extremely underrated, too, I'd say.
Damian, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Anyways, I think that...
Do you think he's ever going to get a chip? Because he's not ring chasing. He's not leaving Portland. I know that. He would have left by now. He's in his, nine year?
Portland needs to add a few pieces.
They do. But in terms of him winning a championship, I don't know.
Yeah, but is he going to do it in Portland, though? That's what I'm saying. Obviously,
he's not leaving.
Ring chasing.
He's not ring chasing. I don't think he's leaving unless he gets traded. But
then they need some pieces. Because Portland's in the Western Conference, too. Like, the Western Conference, let's be real here. The Western Conference is way harder than the Eastern Conference. You know what I mean? So
yeah, outside of CJ and Melo, I mean, they got Nurkic. They got, I want to say Hassan Whiteside, but
yeah, they have Whiteside. They have Whiteside. Yeah, they have Whiteside.
Something's missing on that team. I can't envision them winning a chip with the current roster. They would need a third star.
Obviously, something's missing on the team if we got the Lakers beating them. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have them coming out of the series, so obviously something's missing. And do you know what? I feel like it's a huge issue that the Blazers, with all the talent that they have, are in the 8 seed to begin with. They should be in a higher seed. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they should be in a higher seed, man.
This season for them has been really up and down. Like, they have I think the record's below 500, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And do you know what they need?
They went. That's such a weird outcome for a team that was doing really well last year. They had a great record. They went to the Western Conference Finals. They didn't. They obviously got swept, but that was their best year. And then the following year they were below 500, just struggling to get into the 8 seed.
Do you know what they need? I just have an epiphany right now. They need
and the team. Sorry to interrupt you, but the team's been basically the same.
Out here.
The team's basically been the same roster players as last year. Not much has changed.
Yeah.
What's changed since last year?
Not much.
They lost somebody, right?
Oh, they lost. I don't know.
They lost Trevor Ariza, and then they lost.
They did lose Ariza. They lost
Curry.
What's his
Steph's
face?
brother.
Yeah, he went to the Mavs.
Like what? Those two players are gonna result in this kind of outcome. That's not it.
No.
I don't know.
Do you know what they need? I think they need just a few perimeter shooters and just run plays for them because they already got the main guys. They got Dame.
That's true.
They got McCollum. They got Carmelo Anthony now as well. They have their big man. You know what I mean? So they just need a couple of perimeter shooters.
That already is a couple of perimeter. You mean on the bench?
On the bench.
Oh.
Because you got your starters already set.
I'm not big on the front court.
You're not big on the front court.
The front court needs to be fixed. Nurkic and Whiteside, they're good players, but that's not going to make you win a title. Those are role players. Those guys could technically come on. Like Whiteside could come off the bench. Even Nurkic.
Yeah.
He could come off the bench on a really good team, right?
So you think they're missing starters or like role players?
I think they're missing a really exceptional front court player, maybe like a Boogie Cousins if he was extremely healthy.
That guy's injury prone as hell though.
Right. So they're missing like a front court star.
Yeah.
And then a couple of bench players who are maybe two-way players, and then that's a pretty good team.
So there we go. We got to the bottom of it. They're missing pieces.
You put them in the Eastern Conference. If you put them in the Eastern Conference with the current construction of the roster, they're like what, third seed?
Not like I'd say fourth.
Third or fourth.
That's
crazy.
Possibly fifth if they have a bad season. But yeah, so we just got to your bottom of your problems. Portland, call us. Get us hired for your management team.
Anyways, we might have something there for you, Portland.
All right, so we got that covered. So that we think is going to be the best series in the Western Conference. That's why we took so much time to talk about it. But let's move on here. Let's move on to Clippers and Mavericks. And I don't know.
I was just thinking about that next matchup. That's such a good matchup.
That is a great matchup. All throughout this season, man, I've been talking so highly of the Mavs. And at one point, I actually had them going to at least the Western Conference Finals. Earlier this season, man, like when they were when frickin' Kristaps was balling out and Luka Doncic was balling out, I actually had them going to the Western Conference Finals, possibly as an upset to the NBA Finals. Obviously, I like to root for the underdogs, you know that. But I do got the Clippers coming out of the series. But this series, I don't know.
I'm surprised they're a
5 or
7th
6
seed.
games.
You know, I seen the Mavericks as a 5th seed before the season started.
I feel like they do some heavy damage if they were in the Eastern Conference specifically, just based on how they're built. Like they just seem like
Super tall team.
Yeah, they just remind me of an Eastern Conference powerhouse team. Obviously, the West is a different animal, but in terms of the East, you know. But obviously, we got to talk about them being in the West because that's their situation that they got to deal with right now.
It's the reality that they're facing Kawhi right now. Nothing can.
Yeah, they're facing Kawhi and Paul George. Obviously, Paul George is a superstar as well. You're facing 2 superstars.
I feel like the Clippers are even a deeper. It's pretty hard to argue the two, the Lakers or the Clippers, but I think even Clippers might be slightly deeper than Lakers. I don't know. It's pretty opinion based. Like you could go either way, but Clippers are a scary team too. They got Lou Will.
They got the Lakers' number throughout the regular season too, through the Clippers. So, to be honest, like obviously we're not there yet. But if it were to be Clippers and Lakers in the Western Conference Finals, I would honestly take the Clippers. I would not take the Lakers over the Clippers.
It's more of a consistent team in terms of like the individual players playing because they all get contributions from all the players. Whereas the Lakers, you know, Danny Green's been complete ass the whole bubble. Like he's been extremely poor.
Danny Green's washed up.
Caldwell Pope, like all these X factors, like they don't even show up.
Freaking Dion Waiters, bro.
Yeah, like Dion Waiters is like half drunk, you know, high off gummies. Like,
I'll talk about J.R. Smith. That guy's high off weed every game, you know, like.
Yeah.
That guy. In terms of Danny Green though, I personally love Danny Green. I was fortunate enough to meet him back in 2009 at Olympia Sports Camp, back when he was a rookie, and that guy was
maybe we throw up that photo.
Yeah,
if we got the photo.
I hope so. Yeah, that guy was a nobody back then. That guy was a bench warmer for LeBron's Cavs back when he got drafted in the 2nd round back in the day. Obviously, he became a star through the system back on the Spurs with Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, and
then he came to the Raptors.
Similar type of system.
Yeah, Nick Nurse had a great system, but I just think that guy's glory days are behind him. I think he's washed up now. I don't see him doing that much damage no more in the regular season and especially the playoffs.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I think Clippers is a more well-rounded team.
Yeah, so
that's just a crazy duo, Kawhi and Paul.
Oh yeah, it's insane.
I would take them over LeBron and AD as a duo. Like, I would take that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, LeBron, LeBron's still like gonna do a lot of damage, but at the end of the day, I would take Kawhi over LeBron in this day and age. You know, LeBron's what, 36 years old.
Yeah, 80s not.
Who do you think's the star of the Lakers, LeBron or AD? Who do you think's the MVP?
Oh, LeBron for sure.
I take AD.
Really?
I would not take LeBron. I got AD.
Based off what?
Based off just play. Like dead ass, like just I wouldn't like maybe not numbers or whatever, but just based off play. Like I feel like AD just adds more to the game, and he just has a bigger impact on the offensive end and on the defensive end. You got a rebounding machine right there. You got a blocking machine right there.
Yeah, you know, but think about this: who has more impact on the team? If you take out LeBron one game, I'm not one game, but if you take LeBron off that team, how many games are they winning minus LeBron?
Without AD, I know what you mean.
LeBron can pull that team together single-handedly, whereas AD doesn't have that type of
leadership.
Yeah, willpower.
In terms of a player, though, I'd take AD.
I guess
in terms of leadership, yeah, I know where you're coming from, but in terms of a player, I would take AD.
I mean, LeBron took that Cavs team pretty far his last year before he left for the Lakers.
Yeah, he did, but that was in the Eastern Conference, though, man. They literally faced the Raptors in the 2nd round. The Raptors had Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan.
That's true.
So to be honest, no disrespecter there, but the Cavs were gonna beat the Raptors either way.
All right, we'll save LeBron for another podcast, but I think I was gonna ask you, who do you got for the Clippers and Mavs? I mean, what's your?
I got Clippers. I've got them in 6 because I think the Mavs could at least win 2 games. I think the Mavs are going to give them a run for their money.
Yeah, I'd say Clippers in 6. You know, it'd be cool to see it go to 7, but it's not real. I don't think it's realistic.
Yeah.
6 games for the Clippers, and we book it.
Yeah,
buddy. On to the next. Okay. Nuggets and Jazz. This is going to be, man, literally all the Western Conference playoff series are going to be freaking awesome to watch. Yeah, the West, every year, man, that like This year especially is extremely competitive.
Man, I saw a funny meme once, and it was like East and West, right? For East, it was like tooth fairies and everything, bro. And West, it was like machine guns, freaking blood and shit.
Yeah, it's a
Yo.
battle in the West. That's crazy.
Okay, so it's Nuggets and Jazz, first round matchup. Gonna be another great series. Who do you got? Because I'll tell you who I got in a sec. Nuggets are higher seeded. I honestly don't know what seeds they are. I think it might be the 4th and 5th matchup.
Nuggets and the Rockets?
No, Nuggets and Jazz.
Nuggets and Jazz. Who do I got?
Yeah, who do you got?
Nuggets for sure.
Nuggets. I got Nuggets too. How many games do you think it will go?
5.
5. I got 5 or 6. But if I'm gonna pick one, I'd pick 6 to be honest, because I feel like
Nuggets,
those two teams are.
So that's the third
matched.
seed and the 6th seed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Nuggets in 5.
And don't forget, they got I think they faced off in the bubble to the Nuggets and Jazz, and they had a great game.
Did they?
Yeah, it went to not 3, it went to 2 overtimes.
Really?
Yeah, no, seriously. And Jamal Murray balled out. That guy hit.
Actually,
that guy could not miss on the step back shot.
I don't know if I want to say Nuggets in 5. I feel like
I got Nuggets in 6.
Yeah, Nuggets in 6 probably a better outcome.
Who do you think is gonna be Nuggets X factor?
Nuggets X factor. I don't know. I would say I would go Jokic because he's Serbian. He's my guy. Got to represent Serbia.
This guy's biased, bro. This guy's biased.
He's not an X factor because he's the star player of the team. I don't know who I would take as a X factor.
Yeah, fair enough.
Bobo.
To be honest,
that guy's crazy. That guy has mad potential, man. The fact that they're just sitting on him,
yeah,
like they just have that in their back pocket.
Man, he came out of nowhere. He came out of obscurity, literally, in the bubble.
Yeah,
like first game back,
they
ran
that lineup. Did you see that?
All we hear is Bobo, like Bobo this. I'm like, whoa, what's going on with this Bobo? Like, who's Bobo? B-O-B-O? Like Bob?
He's
like, what's
crazy.
going on here? You know what I mean?
That lineup was crazy. I forget the exact
What are you talking about in terms of a lineup? Like
they were running like 4-5 bigs.
So you got Jokic.
Jokic was like point guard or something. Or maybe Bobo was point guard. One of those two were point guard. And they were basically the whole starting 5 were over like 6'10". It was crazy.
That's a crazy line. You don't see that lineup could actually do some damage in today's NBA. You don't see that anymore, man. It's all about jump shooters.
Imagine running that lineup against the Rockets, man. Rockets would be sweating bullets.
Oh my God, Rockets can't play defense to save their life. You know what I mean? Could you imagine?
Denver against Rockets would be a better first round matchup. I would just love to see Jokic.
Well, they could face off.
Demolish them in the paint.
They could face off in the playoffs.
Second round.
You know what I mean? Real quick before we move on to the Rockets series, which will cap off our podcast, I want to quickly say I got Jamal Murray as the X factor for the Nuggets. Obviously, he's their starting point guard. Canadian boy right there. But played on the KW Vipers in the OBA. I remember that back. And nobody thought he was going to go to the NBA. Now all of a sudden, the guy's in the NBA tearing out house in freaking Denver.
You think he's a better player than Wiggins in terms of Canadian?
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. Wiggins, I don't know. Wiggins hasn't lived up to his potential. Wiggins was supposed to be...
Too much hype though.
They were building him as like a LeBron James, man. Like I couldn't believe that. You know what I mean? Like back then you could believe that. You're like, oh shit, like it's gonna be like another Canadian Steve Nash or whatever, you know, with Andrew Wiggins.
There's too much optimism.
But too much hype. And I think Jamal Murray is better than Wiggins. I'd take Jamal Murray over Wiggins. I think Wiggins hasn't lived up to his potential. I think though when Steve Kerr's Warriors, he's gonna be
it's
better.
A different story. He has less.
We have yet to see it with the full roster with Thompson and Curry playing together and Draymond.
He has less pressure on him for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, no, even though he's a starting point guard, like I say, I do got him as an X factor because this guy's been balling out in the bubble. His step back freaking fadeaway shot, you can't defend that. I couldn't believe it, especially with the Jazz and Nuggets.
He played pretty good against
the regular season
against the Raptors.
Yeah. But yeah, no, Nuggets and Jazz is going to be a great series. But let's move on to the final series of the playoffs in the first round that we haven't covered yet. It's going to be Rockets and Thunder. I think the Thundermen are overrated. I do got the Rockets. Well, I think you got the Rockets too, right? Or do you got the Thunder?
I want to see what Chris Paul is going to do against his team. And, he got traded and everything.
Yeah, I got Rockets in 5, though. I'm not going to lie. I feel like the Thunder are too inexperienced other than Chris Paul. Obviously, Chris Paul is experienced. But what's his face? You got a Canadian guy on there, but he's pretty experienced.
Shea?
The rookie. He's a beast, though.
Alexander, he is pretty good.
He's a beast, but he's a rookie, and we obviously the Raptors, for instance, had playoff experience issues way back in the day.
Yeah,
You know what I
true.
mean?
Yeah,
I feel
Rockets in 5.
I feel like it's gonna be the Thunder's issue in this series specifically. I mean, Chris Paul is a great leader, but you can't, experience you can't like
Well, the one
get
way
that in a player.
the one way you
it
can
happens through years.
the one way you can exploit the Rockets is have height against them, which the Thunder don't really have. So they don't really have many advantages over the Rockets. Rockets can outshoot them. They're more athletic. They're more experienced. And it's probably going to be Rockets in 5.
Yeah, there we go. So we agreed on one more thing.
It'd be optimistic to say Thunder in 6, even though I'd like to, but I can't see that happening.
Yeah.
So not too many disagreements this time around.
Yeah, Nuggets and Rockets could happen in the playoffs. It could happen, and that would be really cool because, like you say, the Nuggets could do their.
Can it happen in the second round? What are the...
big, I don't know. Here, you know what? Fuck it. Let's look this up real quick. But my point is that the Nuggets could do their huge lineup. You know what I mean? Yeah. And yeah. Obviously, the Rockets can't defend that well. Let's do
you
this.
Know how the standings out? Or the
I'm doing it right now.
What's the other window? No, that's
not it. That's about TJ Warren. I'm a bandwagon of TJ. I'm gonna get his jersey, bro. TJ Warren Pacers. Okay, let's see this here. You go to the West.
I don't know about TJ Warren. He did take Kawhi's style right after he won the chip.
He did. So braids. Let's see here. Rockets and Thunder. What else we got?
Everybody started wearing braids right after Kawhi got big.
Yeah. So okay. So to quickly, because I think I don't know what I said before, but about the seeding. But I said something about the Nuggets and Jazz seeding. It's 3 Nuggets. They're in the 3rd seed. Jazz is in the 6th. It's 4th and 5th for Thunder. I'm pretty sure. How does it work? I'm pretty sure the 1 and 8 seed, the winner of that series faces the
third and 6.
3rd and 6 faces 2 to 7. I know that. Third and 6 faces 2 to 7. So that means 4th and 5th. That means the Lakers. It's going to be Lakers and Rockets in the second round, most likely, in my opinion, which is going to be freaking sick.
That'll be fun to watch.
I mean, technically, it could be Nuggets and Rockets in the Western Conference Finals, but the odds of that are very slim. But Lakers and
damn, the Rockets are going to get eliminated in the second round again.
Do you think James Harden can lead a team to the finals?
No way.
Hell nah. James Harden. Your beard doesn't give you special superpowers, James Harden. Like
one-dimensional player. He's got all the offense and nothing else.
Yeah, he's got no defense. I've seen some funny ass videos of this guy on defense.
Got a bit better in the recent years because he's just been made fun of so much.
Yeah.
But he's an extremely one-dimensional player. He's got nothing to value offer. Contention.
I think
Harden, in terms of winning a chip.
I think Harden and Westbrook being teamed up together is overrated.
Yeah,
is overrated. I remember when I first heard of the trade, I think I referred to the Houston Rockets as they're gonna be a big pile of trash. Like I literally said that. Like I just did not believe in 2 ball hogs, 2 ball dominant players like a Westbrook, like a Harden being teamed up together.
That team's future is going to be interesting. What they do to it after this year, I feel like this year might be the last year in terms of them drawing the line and reconstructing the roster. So I'd be interested to see what they do.
Because to be honest, like James Harden, he kind of reminds me.
You could trade James Harden and get a lot in return.
Yeah. James Harden kind of reminds me of Kobe Bryant in terms of demanding the ball, but the guy ain't no Kobe.
No,
you know what
far
I mean?
from it.
Yeah. And I guess
that sums it up. So
we've had a good talk, man. 12:30. We started saying freaking. Bro, we dude,
this is for an hour, right?
Yeah, this is what happens when you set up something for 2 hours. It takes you 2 hours to set up something on some piece of shit laptop. Then we end up talking for an hour straight about ball. But
listen, this is the pilot, all right.
This is the pilot. We love our basketball, as you can tell. 2 Canadian guys straight out of Saga. If you don't know where Mississauga is, it's where Raptors 905 is.
I don't think that helps much. I don't think a lot of people are gonna know what the 905 are. Internationally speaking, I don't think people are.
Man, on ESPN they were talking about Raptors 905. This was back in February, and 2 of the analysts, I forget who they were, but they referred to Mississauga as like Mississauga and Mississauga. Like guys, like it's Mississauga. You're getting paid 6 figures each. Like you should know that. But that's where we are. We're based in Mississauga.
That's some like Charles Barkley pronunciation.
Yeah, like Jonas. How do you pronounce Jonas Valanciunas? He's like Jonas Valenzuenas or something. Like as if some rhymes with Lithuania, Valenzuenas. I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah, Mississauga.
It's been quite the day.
You can look it up, but
Mississippi Americans, we just like Mississippi, but it's Mississauga, not just like Mississippi. That was a horrible comparison. It's been a long day, but we're happy that you joined us.
It's been a long night,
It's been quite the podcast. Mike's Hard Lemonade's done. Mike's Hard Lemonade, baby.
You need a couple more of those, huh?
Good night, everybody. Or not good night. It's good night for us. Have a good day. Enjoy the first round. You'll see us again next week.
All right.